Two big stories this week were trade war, and still are, and the spillover effects, particularly in emerging markets from Fed policy. Well, you just have to start on Donald Trump saying he doesn't like Fed rate hikes. Just quickly put that in perspective. Does it worry you about Fed independence? Larry Kudlow just told earlier, was speaking to reporters saying he's just voicing his opinion. Does it concern you?
Well, of course, you always wonder what people are saying about monetary policy and what's the reason for it behind it. But he also emphasized that normalization is important to have happen. His questions what the pace would be. But I think the message here is that he's participating in the discussion, and that's it. And I think the thing is you have to say, what does that mean for the future? But he's expressing his views.
Okay, and I assume you don't share them.
I think normalization is very important right now. And I think the pace that the Fed is on after a long time is about right. The question is what will happen to the rest of the world, because we need kind of a normalization more broadly, and that's one of the things that are being discussed at these meetings.
So what specifically is your position on that? At the beginning of the week, Finance Minister Indrawati of Indonesia told me that she does think the Fed and others should be mindful of their impact on the rest of the world. Do you agree? And is being mindful enough? How should the Fed deal with that?
I think the Fed has been more mindful recently than in the past. For a while there, with the quantitative easing, many countries objected in emerging markets. They held interest rates too low for too long, all those things that cause capital flows. Now the Fed is trying to get back to normal, and they're doing it at a pretty reasonable pace. You can quarrel whether it's too fast or too low, but they're signaling what it is. So emerging market countries should be able to adapt to that. And I think they have to be clear and transparent about what they're doing. But this is a process that we have to go through. The world will be better off if we do it, and it's just a matter of the pace.
Trade, battle, skirmish, some don't want to call it a war, but I think it increasingly feels that way to markets. And we certainly saw some of that expressed in the stock market this week. Where are we in this trade war battle? Is there any legitimate point being made by the Trump team? Where's it going next?
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty. Let's count on a few things that have gone well so far. The NAFTA is turning into an agreement. We'll see what it's like, but it's no longer quarreling. It's just getting the agreement. There's discussions with Europe, trying to have really a 0 for 0, even sometimes they talk it, and South Korea, the U.S. So that's the progress. I think the questions are with China, and what's China going to do? Are they going to do some of the things that the president and others have said is important? And I think that's an issue people are looking for. They recognize there's some restrictions on investment in China. They recognize there's tariff issues. So how are those going to be addressed? And it's not clear right now.